Thatchwood is a small peaceful town situated on the Russian-Italian border in a region called Know There. Looking at it today, you wouldn't know it, but Thatchwood has been haunted by a dark, disturbing mystery for more than 250 years. Unless, of course, someone has solved it since the upload of this video. Today we'll be talking about the story of the 1769 Thatchwood Fire and Jumping Festival incident. Context. Now, before we begin, we're going to need some context. What is the Thatchwood Fire and Jumping Festival? Well, the festival was an annual event in which citizens of Thatchwood would gather together sticks and wood and would light these sticks and wood on fire and would proceed to jump in unison, chanting, "It's burning." The origin of this tradition is unknown, but it is suspected that it was done for the purpose of dissuading rich Londoners from retiring to Thatchwood and building their $1 million dream home on one of Thatchwood's many open, uninhabited spaces, inviting a television crew along in the process. Regardless of whether this was the case, it seems to have worked, because going into the 1769 festival, the people of Thatchwood were celebrating 1,768 years without a single instance of this happening. It was also suspected that reaching this massive milestone was part of the motivation for moving the venue to the lake. The lake. Now, usually, the citizens of Thatchwood would host their event in the neighbouring city of Constantinople, but perhaps wanting to celebrate 1,768 years of Thatchwood being a toll-free zone, the mayor of Thatchwood, John Cheese, proposed that the local lake was used for the 1769 festival venue. Owing to it being a spring of a record-high pollen count, the lake had frozen over, and Cheese claimed this would be a much superior venue to the previously used 2 by 2 metre stretch of desert in Constantinople, due to the fact that those who suffered from sand allergies would be able to attend this year. The proposal to use the lake as the venue was widely accepted by the people of Thatchwood, with only one exception. The town witch went on record as saying, "You're all going to fall through and die," before she was promptly burned for speaking without first being spoken to. The festival. By all accounts, the festival began swimmingly, with the town's children keenly discussing the politics of the day, and the adults playing on the ice with reckless abandon. Then the fires were lit all over the frozen lake, the jumping began, as did the chanting of "It's burning." The last account we have of the festival going well is from one John Baker, the town butcher. According to Baker, who had claimed to have slipped away from the festival to let his wife out of the meat locker, "When I left, the people whomst was there were jumping and chanting. Wasn't there. When was it that I returned? Neither was there ice, but only a wet and less solid sort of ice in its place. At some point, while Baker was away, something had happened to the townspeople, the fire, and the ice, and none of them would ever return." The mystery. So, what happened to the attendees of the 1769 Thatchwood Fire and Jumping Festival? And what happened to the fire and the ice? Well, historians have been struggling to wrap their heads around this mystery for years, and so far they have never found a theory that stuck. It was once proposed that the retiree Londoners had finally had enough of their exclusion from Thatchwood by way of cult festival, and had snuck into the festival and stolen the fire, the townspeople, and the ice. This theory has been disproven, however, as at the time of the incident, EastEnders was on, and so it would have proven impossible for the Londoners to stage this ploy. Another theory is that the people of Constantinople were offended that the festival was not hosted by their great city this year, and that perhaps they had hidden in the festival fires, and only once John Baker had left did they reveal themselves and steal the townspeople, the fire, and the ice. This one was also disproven when in 2001 it was discovered that Constantinopolitans are not fireproof. Unfortunately, we may never know the truth of what happened at the 1769 Thatchwood Fire and Jumping Festival, but what we do know is that for a few bliss minutes on that ice, the people of Thatchwood were living the dream.